Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Many a True Nerd, and welcome back to Fallout New Vegas Survival Mode. Last time we went over to Nullus and dealt with the boomers there, lovely and friendly, and as many comments were pointing out to me, it's Raquel, not Rachel. My apologies to Raquel, I repeatedly got her name wrong in that episode. I'm very sorry indeed. And today I want to go and do a little bit of work, specifically for the NCR. But first, I'm a little bit low on food, so I've returned to the lovely little animal husbandry farm here, because would you believe there's a good source of food right flipping here. They may all be malnourished Brahmin, but they still produce just the same amount of meat. Ooh, hello. Actually, I should probably kill these guys just because it'll get my animal control perk up, to be honest. Plus, Brahmin meat's amazing because Brahmin meat gives you, like, plus strength. So I'll definitely be killing absolutely all the Brahmin here. Or rather, I'll be killing as many as I can hold the meat for. There's also zero solidarity among these animals, by the way. If you murder the Brahmin, the bighorners do not care. But more importantly, very close to this lovely little location I've been visiting is in fact Caesar's Legion safe house, which I decided I wanted to visit at the beginning of this part. I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. The reason I didn't show it off at the end of last part, which I was originally planning to, is because the game sort of crashed. Which is why when I was talking over the outro at the end of last part, I was kind of looking at my Pip-Boy map at the same time. It's because that's the only footage I had, because Fallout New Vegas just bloody loves crashing. Am I about to be murdered by something? I am as well. Hello there. And here we are, tucked very much out of the way, kind of overlooking Nipton. Nice little view down onto Nipton over there. Oh, this game's still very pretty, especially when it comes to the big open vistas atop a mountain. Very pretty indeed. Yes, indeed, here we are. We have got ourselves the Caesar's Legion safe house. Let's use the key. And no Atticus today, who does indeed give you free stealth boys, as awesome as that would be. Instead, straight down here, the house is very simple next to them, which, you know, you'd kind of expect, I guess, because Caesar's Legion are not exactly technologically advanced. So, you know, literally they've just picked this house out in the middle of nowhere, and you just go through the door, and then down some stairs into the basement, and that's literally all you've got. Not too surprising, really. It does, however, come with all the usual basics you'd expect from a safe house. You've got yourself a water fountain, of course. You can get yourself a pure rad-free water. Very nice for survival mode, in fact. As well as a few toys that are a little bit more on the rare side. In particular, you've got yourself a time bomb here. Very light and very valuable. I probably won't use those myself, but I might actually just sell them. A displacer glove. This may well be the first displacer glove you've got in the game. This is the weapon that Caesar uses. Basically, it's just a power fist with a little bit of a flashy explosion on the end after you punch someone with it. I think it's quite nice. It's very fun indeed. Caesar himself uses one, but obviously not for me. You can also have all the different types of Legion armor as well. You've got Praetorian armor there, a Vexillarius armor there, and of course the Centurion armor here, as well as a Centurion helmet as well. And a chainsaw if that's your kind of thing. The chainsaw's hilariously good fun, but for 20 weight, is it ever really that practical? Not really, it's mainly just for fun. Most importantly of all, however, and so easy to overlook, I almost bloody forgot about it because they're really difficult to see. Right here, the Lucky Shades. They're potentially easy if you kind of crouch down. Yeah, I actually forgot those were there for a second. I almost wandered off without them. The Lucky Shades, the most important thing of all in this safe house. There we are. They really should have put those somewhere a little bit more obvious. They're really hard to see against the mattress. The Lucky Shades, as you would probably suspect, do indeed give you luck +1. For this build, a kind of critical pistol build, definitely worth having. So even though we only just got little rebreather, and we will be keeping it because, you know, there are times we want to go underwater and it can be very useful. And conveniently, the rebreather has 0 weight, which is very nice indeed. Lucky Shades will definitely be wearing, because I'd rather have +1 luck than an extra 3% damage resistance, even though the Lucky Shades give me no defensive bonus whatsoever. And even without jury rigging, you can actually improve those with any glasses whatsoever. Lovely. So with that has got my luck up to, oh yes, a luck of 8. Now that's a pretty good luck right there. I'm happy with that. There's one other really interesting thing in this bit of the world, by the way. I imagine a few people may have just kind of missed this or just never really been over there. Right behind it, you have got this little, just kind of marked off section. Just a bunch of houses behind a chain link fence. And you can see that there's a bunch of ghouls. Together with, of course, we've got ourselves a little kind of like sandbags and some chairs laid out, so there's some form of observation going on. You've even got some authority glasses right here. That's very welcome indeed. So a few people were wearing kind of like tinted glass of some description. I'll take all of these, because I believe I can use all of those to get my lucky specs up a bit. Yes, indeed I can, for 15 a go. That is much, much better condition indeed. Though, admittedly, condition on these glasses literally doesn't mean anything, because of course I'm not getting any extra damage off them, and it doesn't give me any additional luck. It basically just kind of increases the amount of time till eventually these break and need repairing again. But yes, I think we can reasonably guess from the fact that there are a bunch of people wearing kind of tinted glasses, watching from up here behind sandbags down to this area. This was a nuclear test facility. You will, however, want to be a little bit careful going through this area. This is one of the very small amount of areas in the entire game where Reavers will actually spawn. You don't get many Reavers in Fallout New Vegas. Of course, they're many kind of, you know, associated with 3, but 2 glowing ones. There's 3 Reavers right there, and there's another 2 Reavers. Yeah, this area can be very, very dangerous. So I'd say get your sniper weapons, get right up on a cliff way over there, and try not to get spotted. This is also a good time to consider alternative ammo. Hollow point works very, very nicely against ghouls. Ooh, good shot there. I'm proud of that one. One dead Reaver at least. And another one. Okay, Reavers keep going down. We got most of them down at this point. I think there's just a handful of glowing ones and just kind of normal ghouls over in that direction. But next to how dangerous the Reavers are, I think we're in pretty good shape now. So, pop a Rad-X just in case. Just picked up 110 XP for just drinking enough water to be Kamala from Mojave. Not a particularly difficult perk to get when you're playing in hardcore mode, to be honest. Oh yeah, we got some real rads in here. Never mind. Let's go and check out this little house. I can't even remember what's in here. I never normally bother coming this way because Reavers are such deadly murder monsters, even in New Vegas. Though, admittedly, thanks to kind of the and stay back perk, they're nowhere near as bad as they were back in Fallout 3. Though actually, I suppose you could cripple their legs with a little kind of toy gun thing in Fallout 3, so that certainly made things a little bit easier. Now, what is in here again? I generally can't remember, aside from some slightly sinister floating red radiation in the air. Yes, very sinister indeed. Well, one, we've got ourselves Trash. A named raider. Intriguing. Okay. I'd forgotten this was here. Entry 3 in the diary of Trash. Alright. I forgot where this goes. As well as, ooh, a nice hunting shotgun. Very good. And if you're into that sort of thing, a star bottle cap. And there's entry 1 in the diary of Trash, and a few drugs as well. Where exactly is entry 2? It's got to be around here somewhere. There we are, entry 2, and Nikola Tesla and you as well. An actually bloody useful skill book there. Marvellous. Right, let's be on our way, shall we, out of the terrifying red radiation. And having quickly stopped off for a quick rad scrub, let's actually see what was in those documents, because I've genuinely forgotten what they are. Dear Diary, I'm so done being confined in this human body. So today I moved into the shack at the abandoned test site. There should be enough radiation there to turn me into a ghoul. All around me the world is bleak and dreadful. Is it so wrong to want a body to match it? I wonder what colour my skin will turn and if I'll be able to find a good shade of lipstick to go with it. Probably not. God, everything is so miserable. I like you better already, Trash. Dear Diary, I've been in this shack for almost a week now. Nothing is happening. I'm so bored and this shack is so hot and it's totally ruining my hair. It's like so hard to find hair dye this colour in the wasteland. This sucks. I want to be a ghoul now. I hate all this waiting. Life, living is so overrated. And finally, entry 3. Dear Diary. Good news, Diary. I think it's finally starting to happen. Okay, so I do still feel like totally miserable. What else is new? Ha ha ha. And my skin is starting to peel off. But I'm pretty sure that's the first step. Oh, and my hair. I finally got it just the way I like it. And now it starts coming out. Why does ghoulification have to be so unfair? I don't think I've ever read that before. Fascinating. Trash, I like you. You wanted to be a ghoul, so what did you do? You went and found a proper radioactive spot. You committed to that. Well done. So I've returned to the strip to do the main thing I want to do today, which is Ambassador Crocker over at the NCR Embassy. He said he had another job for me, and I'm very interested in that job, because that job is the next quest for the NCR that I'd like to do, because King's Gambit is an interesting little quest, and not just because, unlike the vast majority of quests in this game, it's not actually named after a song. It's named after an opening series of moves in chess, so that's very interesting indeed. Not the way there, actually. I have a couple of Vault 34 jumpsuits to turn in. Hello, I brought you jumpsuits, though less than I was expecting. There's really not that many in Vault 34.
Well, well, if it isn't the Vault Explorer himself. Welcome back.
And very nicely, of course, she actually starts kind of calling you that when you've brought in the Vault stuff, which is very, very cool indeed. Now, with those turned in, over to Ambassador Crocker to hear about his next mission, the King's Gambit. Now, let's just speak to him and see what exactly King's Gambit involves, because he gives us a choice, but there's a lot more choice than he actually lays out, as I'll be covering this episode.
It's good to have a friend of the NCR here. What can I do for you?
Why, I'd like to learn about that assignment you mentioned earlier.
So I did. As you may have noticed, our position here in New Vegas is tenuous. We've made great strides, sure, but the NCR is not welcome here, merely tolerated. And even then, not by everyone. We've had reports of violence against NCR citizens in a neighborhood just to the northeast called Freeside. Ever been there?
Oh, yes, and it's very, very lovely indeed now that I've removed all the loading zones from it.
Violence is something of a way of life there, but there's been a disturbing rise in the number of attacks on our people lately. More worrying is the fact that our sources suggest the violence is being perpetrated by the gang that runs the place, the Kings. I need someone to look into this that won't attract attention. Would you be interested?
Absolutely.
Good. Our men have come up with 2 different plans for seeing an end to the violence. First, our sources have tracked most of the attacks back to a king named Pacer. The consensus is that the violence will stop if he's removed. The problem is we can't simply kill him. In the current climate, the NCR would likely be blamed for his death. There is an alternative option, but my sources feel that getting rid of this Pacer fellow is our best shot.
And while we will indeed be going for the assassination option first up, I will be showing all of them, but I just want to very quickly draw attention to something which just kind of marks why New Vegas is such a classic and why I think it is easily the better game than Fallout 4, which is one of the options you can reply on being asked to kill someone is simply to state, I'm not an assassin. Killing is not something that I do. And what does he reply if you say that? He replies, oh yeah, I totally agree. Here's an alternative solution that doesn't involve killing whatsoever. That does not happen in Fallout 4. Fallout New Vegas has been written and programmed to assume that you can actually go up to a character who will say, hey, could you kill someone for me? And say, no, of course not, that's monstrous. And their response will be, oh, well, that's fair enough. If you're not an assassin, here's a different thing you can do instead. In Fallout 4, everyone just assumed you'd be okay, you know, killing the raiders, killing the people they wanted dead. And there was never really an alternative solution that was presented to you. Sometimes you could find alternative solutions, but the assumption that every character in the game made was that you would use violence as a first resort. I just love that New Vegas, there are plenty of options for you to just in character, in the script, say, actually, violence isn't really my thing. It's lovely.
Make it look like an accident, or pin the deed on someone else. Look into this guy's affairs and I'm sure you'll find something you can use.
And indeed, I've heard something about bad blood between Pacer and the Van Graff family. I believe that speech option only comes up because I've already done Birds of a Feather, so I know about that bad blood.
See? That's exactly the type of information we can use. In fact, that's perfect. Those fancy weapons the Van Graffs peddle aren't exactly common. It goes without saying that actually getting the Van Graffs to do the deed would be the ideal solution. However, if Pacer were killed with either a laser or a plasma-based weapon, everyone would automatically assume the Van Graffs did it. Still, unless you want several dozen armed men at your throat, you'd have to kill him without being seen. Be careful. I'll leave the method up to you. However, there is an alternative if you'd rather try to handle things without bloodshed.
No, let's stick with the assassination plan, please.
If that's what you prefer, I won't stop you. Just remember to try to find a way to do it that doesn't lead back to the NCR. If it just doesn't look possible to make the kill without drawing attention, don't forget there's always the diplomatic approach.
Now, the interesting thing that just got mentioned there, of course, is you've got to do this in a way that doesn't lead back to the NCR. So, you know, it's got to be framing the Van Graffs, or using an energy weapon, or something. It can't just be a straight-up murder. However, if you do just straight-up murder him in a way that could lead back to the NCR, that doesn't actually mean you're locked out from continuing. Instead, this happens. So here we are in Pacer's bedroom at night, and he's about to go to bed, isn't he? Yes, I believe he is. Sadly, I don't even have a flipping silenced weapon right now. No, he's just going to look at his bed. Well, that's 100% fine. Bye, Pacer. I never liked your nose anyway. Down he goes. Sneak attack, critical on Pacer. I've gained karma. Now I need to return to Ambassador Crocker with news of Pacer's death. Everyone's a little bit annoyed about this, by the way. But that's fine, because all I need to do, after I've just kind of cleared out his corpse, is pop on a stealth boy, sneak out, and return back to the Ambassador. So with a stealth boy and high sneak, it will be extremely easy for me to just sneak straight past everyone. No trouble at all. As long as you don't actually kind of bump into them, no issue. And despite the fact that everyone else in the Kings hates me, my dog is still on my side. You can see that he is indeed still a yellow compass tick. Marvellous. And there we are. We made it all the way back to the strip just before the stealth boy wore off. So we got in, we straight up murdered Pacer with a standard ballistic weapon, and now we're going to report back to Crocker.
I trust you have something to report concerning the Freeside situation?
Yeah, about that. I have technically completed the Pacer job, yes.
Oh, I've already heard. Pacer is dead. The Kings are up in arms. The entire area is gripped by chaos and the violence has only increased. In fact, I've heard that many are assuming the NCR did it without even looking into the matter. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen. What do you have to say for yourself?
And let's start with my reward. Or indeed, I'm very sorry I slightly screwed up. No, let's just antagonize him, see how bad this goes.
Reward? You want a reward for setting our diplomatic efforts back a year?
When you put it that way, yes.
Oh, I see. You're proud of your efforts, huh? Thankfully, it looks like we won't be working together any longer. I've received a message from Colonel Moore up at Overdose. She's been following your exploits and has requested that you meet with her.
So doing it that way means you do actually fail King's Gambit, but you actually move on to For the Republic Part 2 anyway. If, however, you're a little bit more polite, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Like, I only wanted to aim at him to scare him, my finger just sort of slipped.
That's an understatement. Still, there's nothing to be done about it now. Maybe the violence will die down once things settle. Here, take this. It's not what I was planning to give you, but you deserve some sort of payment for your efforts. Oh, and one other thing. I've received a message from Colonel Moore up at Overdose. She's been following your exploits and has requested that you meet with her.
So you failed the quest anyway, but interestingly, if you do chase after a reward, he's so annoyed at you he doesn't give you anything. If you apologise, you actually get 300 caps anyway, though you do still fail the quest, so you don't get any XP for that, and in either case you get NCR infamy. But let's not do it that way, let's just pretend that never happened. Now, back in Pacer's room, you can see the man's alive and I'm not about to murder him. The thing is, under his bed, there's nothing there. There's nothing there because we don't know there's supposed to be something there. That's how this quest works. There will be something there if we could find out some sort of evidence that suggests there should be something there. And the thing that should be there is Pacer's drug stash. He has a bit of a chem problem. Now, the way most people know about learning about Pacer's chem problem is Rotface over here down by the East Gate. If you kind of toss him caps one at a time, eventually he'll actually give you that piece of information. So he'll give you like a little bit of local intel for a cap. And one of them, just kind of randomly chosen, is indeed that Pacer has a bit of a drug problem. And that makes the drug box appear. However, there's another way I see very, very few people ever mention. And again, it just perfectly summarises how perfect New Vegas is. Because if you were looking for information about someone's chem habits, where would you theoretically look? Well, you'd look with their doctor, wouldn't you? Their doctor would be the person who might know that. So if you head over to the Old Mormon Fort, you can indeed find the notes there. They appear after you've started this quest. So head into Julie Farkas's personal quarters over here in this tower.
Hi there.
Well, that was surprisingly sinister. I just flipping came through this door, and all of a sudden, there's children with baseball bats and knives. Yeah, you just leave and don't freak me out again. So back here at the very back of the first floor, we do indeed have a filing cabinet. Click on that, and the drawers of this filing cabinet are all labelled patient records, followed by a subset of the alphabet. Leave the filing cabinet alone, or search for Pacer's patient file. And you quickly find a manila folder with Pacer's name on it in the drawer marked N through R. That is indeed a very sensible place to have found Pacer, yes. First name Pacer, last name would not give / doesn't know, blood type AB, birth date unsure, sex male. Patient checked himself in on the urging of his friends regarding a serious dependency on the drug known as Jet. Preliminary tests showed continued use of the drug is very dangerous due to the patient's pre-existing heart condition, coronary arterial disease. Under no circumstances should any sort of stimulant like Psycho be taken, particularly with the patient's current drug of choice. So in other words, we have now just learned that Psycho would straight up murder this poor man. That now opens up 2 new options for us. And now we can return to Crocker and have another little chat with him. And this is the thing that people miss about this quest. They get given the quest and they assume they have to go out and do it. No. During this quest, you can return to Crocker multiple times with updated information, have new conversations with him, which open up new options. So in this particular case, make sure you've got your medicine high enough with a today's physician if you need to, and with that information in hand, head back to Crocker. I've discovered that Pacer is a jet addict and has a heart condition, Crocker.
That could be useful, but I'm afraid I don't have the background and know how to take advantage of that knowledge.
And would you believe with medicine of 50, add little Psycho to his jet and he'd have a heart attack.
Remind me never to get on your bad side. If that's true, then yes, that would be a suitable way to get rid of him. It looks like you have things well in hand, so I'll leave you to it.
And that has now added an extra optional objective to the main quest. Kill Pacer by adding Psycho to his jet. So back in Pacer's room, and something has now magically appeared underneath his bed. We have got Pacer's jet stash. And if you've got medicine of 60, you can spike the jet with Psycho. This is the nice, easy, clean way to do it. You carefully add Psycho to Pacer's jet, guaranteeing an altogether different high the next time he uses it. There we go. Job has been done, and now we simply wait for him to come back to his room.
Damn.
And there he goes. Sorry, I waited just a little bit too long there, but he did some drugs, and he did indeed get high, because he just did a little backflip. Yeah, basically, he goes over to his thing about, like, 11 PM midnight or so. I waited till 11:30, so apparently, the moment I stopped waiting, he did it straight away, and he immediately did a little flip. And, of course, this isn't the NCR's fault. He'd already been dragged to doctors because of his chem problem, and he's now died of what is clearly an overdose. Any medical examination will reveal that, because it is, in fact, the truth. So now, of course, we could go and turn that into Crocker, but of course there's a different, even cleaner solution. This time, head back along to Mick and Ralph's. Remember how it was mentioned when we were kind of getting our passport into the strip the first time, that over at Mick and Ralph's, they are experts at forgery? Well, that forgery might just prove useful once again. Ralph, could you by any chance forge a handwritten note for me?
Sure, just tell me the author and what you want it to say.
And indeed, I need a note written to Pacer from the Silver Rush.
Not a problem. I occasionally do business with the Van Graffs, so I have a sample of Mr. Cutting's handwriting around here somewhere. What would you like it to say?
And just that the good man has Pacer's jet.
Like to live dangerously, do we? No problem. And here you go.
There we are. So now we have got ourselves a note signed from the Van Graffs, specifically saying, ha ha ha, we just stole your jet, loser. So back up to Pacer's room again, but this time, when we examine his stash, we want to take the jet and leave Ralph's forged letter. The box now contains nothing save for a simple handwritten note. Lovely. Now this is even better, of course. Ah, here he is. Okay, so he checks the box. Sorry, I waited and he looked at the box again. And the moment he reads the box, he grabs his gun and starts running for the door. Sadly, this does not trigger a full gang warfare where he, like, gathers up all the rest of the Kings and they go and deal with the Van Graffs themselves. That would be really, really good fun, but I'm guessing possibly they decided against that if they were ever thinking of it, because it would probably be a little bit too much strain on the engine, especially on consoles. So he's now going to run over to the Silver Rush and, of course, immediately get himself murdered because he's no match for the Van Graffs. Even though, of course, there's no one left in there but Gloria and her brother. Everyone else has already died thanks to the flipping followers. There we go. You can see there that he just got murdered straight away. I'm hidden, by the way, at the moment. I'm using a stealth boy so I could actually see that. So he runs in and gets himself murdered immediately. Would you believe he wasn't particularly thinking straight? Now, of course, this is even cleaner because there's no way this can be pinned on anyone but the Van Graffs. Even if the note ever comes under suspicion, it doesn't matter. He ran into the Silver Rush and the Van Graffs murdered him. They gunned him down. The Van Graffs are absolutely, definitely, truly to blame for him actually dying. There's no way this goes back to the NCR, even if the note does ever come under suspicion. Now, of course, the easiest way to do this in terms of implicating the Van Graffs is the one that everybody knows about, which is if you haven't yet done Birds of a Feather, simply start Birds of a Feather. When Pacer comes up to the door, antagonize him, he'll attack, you and Simon can just murder him together, and as a result, that counts. And that's the one everyone knows about, but this way I think is much more elegant and fun. But wait, there's more! Let's go right back in time to the very beginning before we even started the quest, but this time say we want to do the diplomatic approach, because there's more here than people know about too. And this time, no, I'm not an assassin.
In that case, we could take a different tact, but one that I at least have more experience with: diplomacy. If we can't go after the man responsible, we'll simply appeal to the man above him. The Kings, including our friend Pacer, report to the leader of their gang, a man who calls himself the King.
So King's Gambit begins again, but this time my main objective is to go and speak to the King. Now, most people think diplomacy with the King means only one option. That means using the favour you get in GI Blues to ask the King to stop the violence. You go up to him, you say, hey, that one favour, stop violence. He says, well, alright then, I did give you that one favour. And that's it, you return it to the ambassador. And because you saved up the favour, that means you get the nice, peaceful diplomatic solution. And if you can't do that, you have to kill Pacer. No! There are other diplomatic solutions that involve you failing to talk around the King that I think I've seen very, very few people ever do. But they are there, buried away in the game. So let's go and talk to the King, but not successfully talk him round. Now, I know I used up my favour already joining the Kings, but just as a little kind of personal extra favour, could you please kinda stop this whole violence situation?
I'd like to help you out, especially considering all you've done. But that's a pretty big favor you're asking for, and you've already used yours. Was there anything else you wanted?
And sadly, that's it. No speech check, no anything. You used your favour and the King is very firm, you only get one. Now, most people would normally assume, okay, that means I need to kill Pacer. No, you can go back to Crocker, just like you could with the medicine when you found out about the psycho, and tell him, hey, I tried to talk the King round, but it didn't go very well. And Crocker will open up some new options for you. And the King simply will not deal with the NCR ambassador.
That's most unfortunate. In this circumstance, I've been instructed to send you along to Colonel Moore over at Hoover Dam for further orders. The Colonel will likely send you back to Freeside with a squad of armed men, for all the good that will do.
So we've now got a new option, which is we get to go to Colonel Moore a little bit earlier than the game normally sends you, because normally after you've completed King's Gambit, you go and meet Moore for the first time. No, on this occasion you get to go and meet her during King's Gambit, and you get some flipping armed backup to go and try and force the issue, so she's going to try and escalate things. And we also get a bit more background into Crocker and Moore and how they don't get on.
Oh, I like the Colonel just fine. She's a good soldier, one of the best. I just don't think her general approach to things is a good fit here. See, the Colonel likes to solve things neatly, quickly, and efficiently through a show of force if possible and through actual force if necessary. That won't work here. Unless she plans on killing half the population of Freeside, sending soldiers to the area will only make things worse.
So down the road we go, here to Hoover Dam to meet Colonel Moore. Yes, indeed, a mission earlier than I think most people expect to ever meet her. So let's go and have a quick chat with her about murdering all of the Kings. Hello there, Colonel Moore. It's nice to meet you a little early.
Whatever it is, make it quick. I don't have time for idle chatter.
And Ambassador Crocker said to come and see you about Freeside.
You say Crocker sent you? Let me see. I just received a memo regarding him recently and haven't had a chance to read it in detail. Ah, the matter with the so-called Kings. Crocker's been wringing his hands while good people die for too long, and now the matter's fallen to me. Unlike the good ambassador, I don't intend to blink. Tell the leader of this gang to stand down or face annihilation. That is his choice. If he chooses the latter, a squad of my men will be there to back you up. Any questions?
And this plan seems a little bit on the confrontational side there, Moore. You sure you're not escalating the situation unnecessarily?
Do you have any idea what our current situation is? As we speak, there is a huge army of madmen not 10 miles from here waiting to kill us all. We don't have the luxury of long-term diplomacy any longer. Anyone that could prove a hindrance in the battle to come must be dealt with swiftly. You have your orders. I expect you to carry them out. Dismissed.
Colonel Moore, never liked you very much, but there we are. We now apparently have to deliver an ultimatum to the King, and we have got a big group of armed men to back us up. And here we are indeed. The situation has indeed escalated right outside the King's base here. armed NCR guys in full NCR gear, and it's all looking a little bit uneasy, isn't it? And step inside, and we have a lot more NCR people indeed.
Maybe you can tell me what the hell is going on here? These stony-faced bastards haven't said a word, other than to say they're here under orders.
And at this point, we've got 3 things we can say, but would you believe at the point where Cassandra Moore has ordered the NCR to storm and occupy the King's Own base, it doesn't really matter. I'm here to deliver an ultimatum for the NCR: cease hostilities against the NCR or perish. The NCR want you to curb violence in Freeside or else, or NCR citizens are dying in Freeside and the NCR wants you to stop it. It doesn't matter which of those you choose, this is going to end badly because, of course, well, that's pretty much how Cassandra Moore wanted it to end, to be honest. But let's go for the bottom one. That seems like the least confrontational. There's no, like, or perish or else on the end, so, you know, it's probably the most friendly.
Well, Freeside citizens are also being attacked, and I'd like you all to stop it. But I'm guessing that's not gonna happen, is it? This little show of force accomplishes nothing. So take your toy soldiers and go home. Show's over.
Guess he wants to do this the hard way, boys. Take him down.
And indeed, the NCR troops now just open up, murder everyone. The king will obviously go down, all his guys will go down. The king, interestingly, tries to flee, but they'll now murder everyone. Oh, Rexy! Rexy turns on the... Oh... Yeah, it's actually a very good idea for you to actually have Rex as your companion. Otherwise, Rex will start murdering the NCR troopers, and it'll do a very, very good job. And at this point, well, you can help the NCR troopers clear out the whole building. They have indeed just successfully taken down poor old Rex there. Is the king dead yet? I think the king must have died or come very, very close. The NCR troopers should be able to win this fight pretty easily, though the numbers have been slightly thinned and weakened by Rex attacking a couple of them there, so I think they've already lost. Yeah, I think they lost 1 there. Where's the king himself gone? Has he run off? What a coward. But yes, indeed, there's more than enough NCR troopers here to basically take out the whole area. Oh, yep, the king is indeed just kind of cowering in a corridor there. I'm sure he'll go down momentarily, because I think they do actually find him. And there he goes. And these guys, because they've got no damage threshold, they just get murdered by the NCR. Interestingly, if you don't actually open fire, you're not actually an enemy of the king's. You're not really part of this. So you can actually stay with no Freeside infamy if you simply don't get involved. And as you can see, the NCR can very, very easily take care of this themselves. You can, of course, this way get yourself the king's unique jacket, the king's key, and the Viva Las Vegas jacket, which is... I swear that was better than that. I think they might have actually had something taken away from that, because I swear that used to give you, like, plus speech or something, but maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering. You can also make a lot of money doing this, by the way, because a lot of these guys will have... Oh, there's Sergio. Oh, this is a good way of getting his unique thing, by the way. He has a unique straight razor, Figaro. It's still kind of terrible, as you can see there, damage 6, but with bonus critical damage and bonus critical chance, like, you know, I guess for a straight razor, it's okay. It's just, you know, there's not really such a thing as a good straight razor in this game. But yeah, most of these guys will have things like 10mm pistols or automatics. The Magnum revolvers are probably the worst thing, but there's enough 10mm floating around here, and especially if you can find the odd 10mm automatic thing, that you can make a very good amount of money just by kind of cleaning the corpses of all these guys. Interestingly, the King's floozies are here. Hello, King's groupies. Did the NCR go hostile to you?
The king promised to take us out tonight.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think he's going to be able to do a very good job with that. And there we are, the NCR troopers, who I didn't help at all, have very easily cleared out the building, losing only 1 or 2 members in the process. And there's a 10mm submachine gun right there. So yeah, 5 weight, 675 value. Very, very useful indeed. Just go around cleaning all of those up. And oh my goodness, they do actually kill the groupies. Oh, that's a bit harsh. They're not only unarmed, like, you can be pretty confident they're not concealing a gun anywhere. There's not many places to conceal a gun in sexy sleepwear. And of course, the NCR will also step outside and help those 2 NCR guys who are already outside clean up the streets of Kings as well. So the final few Kings go down in a hail of bullets very, very quickly indeed. As indeed will the King's other groupie, who I think may have already died over there. She's kind of fled in this direction, but the NCR are pursuing. They want the King's groupie to go down. That is very, very harsh of them, but yep, there you are. Job done. Well done, lads. Where are you guys going, by the way? I genuinely am not sure where they're going next, having killed the rest of the kings. Oh, they just stepped outside to finish the ones outside. Now are they just going to kind of go and hang around inside because this is their base now? I guess so. But there's just one more solution that means we can do that a little bit better. Moore, of course, and her soldiers pretty much wanted to pick a fight and had no interest in that ending peacefully. However, dig into the ambassador's dislike of Moore a little bit more, and that opens up another opportunity. Sending the NCR troops into Freeside would be a bad idea, Ambassador.
I completely agree. Even if a riot didn't immediately break out, a line will have been crossed. And we'll have made that many more enemies. I'd suggest you speak to Colonel Hsu over at Camp McCarran. He's much more level-headed about this sort of thing. He's also in a better position to bargain with the people of Freeside, seeing as how he's in charge of water and power distribution in the area. Still, I'm only mentioning it as an option. My official orders are to direct you to Colonel Moore. Godspeed.
So we have a second option, in fact. Instead of going to Moore, we could go to Colonel Hsu over in McCarran. Let's go and do that instead. And here we are back in McCarran. Let's have a chat with the good Colonel Hsu, see if he's a little bit more reasonable than Moore is.
I'm glad we could finally meet. My sources tell me you've done some good work for us. What brings you to Camp McCarran?
We've met like several times already. Look, you can see how your dialogue's already sort of faded out to indicate we've already done it. And Ambassador Crocker said to come and see you about the situation with the kings in Freeside.
Ah, that. I'm surprised he didn't send you to Colonel Moore. That'd be her jurisdiction.
And let's be as diplomatic and kind to Crocker as possible. He said you might just have a better way of dealing with the situation.
Well, I do get to make the calls on the distribution of supplies there. Crocker was probably counting on me being able to offer the kings a carrot. And that's what I'm inclined to do. Alright, Moore's not gonna like it, but that's for Crocker to worry about. Go to the leader of the kings, and tell him that I'll make sure Freeside gets more water, power, and food, as long as the violence there stops.
So there we are. Power, water. We've now actually got something tangible to take to the king. We can actually make him a proper offer. Very, very good indeed. So, back to the kings, and we've still got a few more NCR backing us up, but this time we've got more to bargain with inside the school. And indeed, you can see, even under this situation, it would appear, and I'm not sure whether these are supposed to be like Moore's troops, or whether these are troops that Hsu has sent as well, even though he didn't actually say he was going to. But yeah, if you go down this route, whatever happens, the NCR do indeed storm this room. And that guy up on the stage doesn't care, he just keeps doing his impressions anyway. You go, that is good dedication to the cause right there.
Okay, I need some answers now. These guys just barged in here and said they were under orders to keep me here until you arrived. I'm about 5 seconds away from telling my men to take them down, so speak fast.
I really wouldn't. You would lose that fight very, very easily. I've already seen it in an alternative timeline. And indeed, you can actually say that. Don't take that time with me. These soldiers would wipe the floor with your men. They really would, but the king doesn't actually know that. He seems to be a little bit under the impression that his men can win. He genuinely believes that because he will order them to attack, so don't do that. Now, in this case, it can either go either way. Unlike with Colonel Moore, this doesn't always end in a bloodbath. If you antagonise the king, it will end in exactly the same bloodbath. But if you are diplomatic and say you apologise for the rudeness and put the offer straight to him, we want peace and we're willing to offer additional supplies to get it, then this can actually end well.
And I suppose they want me to help see that happen? That seems pretty reasonable.
This is bullshit. Why are we even talking about dealing with these guys?
Pace, this isn't really a good time to have this discussion.
Wrong. This is exactly the right time. I'm about to prevent you from making a huge mistake.
Pace, don't do this. I won't stand with you if you do.
Then I'll stand on my own, just like I always have. Just like a king should. And you, bringing these assholes in here like you're doing us some kind of favor. You can take your new friends and get the hell out of here. Because the answer is no. The Kings will never deal with trash from the NCR.
And here is something that you do not see any other time. You vaguely get the impression that Pacer kind of, he's working behind the king's back, he doesn't like the way the kings do things. But this exact route, going down the route of diplomacy, not passing the first check with the king, going back to Crocker, choosing Hsu over Moore, and then coming back in here at the end of it, this is the only time Pacer will actually rise up in front of the king and start a little rebellion. Again, that's exactly what he's about to do. The king is willing to do the deal, Pacer isn't, and on this occasion, occasion, Pacer's not willing to just kind of, you know, sneak off and deal with the NCR like he does at the end of GI Blues. He actually tells the king, screw you, I'm going out on my own. But as we saw, well, the NCR can handle the entirety of the Kings. The few people that decide to stand with Pacer do not stand a flipping chance. But let's try and be diplomatic for the sake of kind of keeping things sweet with the king afterwards. I think the decision is up to the king, don't you, Pacer?
Not anymore, it isn't. He's not in his right mind if he's even thinking about making a deal with this scum.
And now we get a final choice. If we simply say we're dealing with the king, not you, then in fact this will end in violence, but only against Pacer and a few other people. So I will quickly just kind of show that off now, just because I can't remember how many people actually side with Pacer. So let's see. And then after that, of course, we do actually have a speech option.
You're gonna have to deal with me whether you like it or not. Get them!
And when he says get them, how many people actually decide to get involved? So there was Pacer, there's that guy up on the stage, there's a few here, and okay, that's literally it. Everyone else in this room decides they cannot be bothered. The king, what do you have to say about what just went down there?
I can't believe Pacer's gone. He was always right here, you know? Always cracking me up with some story or another. Anyway, what did you want?
To be honest, King, he was pretty much always plotting behind your back. In some ways, I feel like this is actually the best solution. But no, let's go back in time and do this the proper kind of Doctor Who everybody lives way. So, speech 75. So you'll fight him and the NCR. Can the Kings really afford to be fighting each other right now, Pacer?
No. We would never survive. We need to stick together. I'll go with whatever the king decides, but I'll be watching these NCR scumbags like a hawk. If they try anything...
We'll deal with that should the time come, Pace. Now, I'm sure these gentlemen are as anxious to get out of here as we are to see them go.
And there we go. Pacer runs off. Hang on, Pacer, where are you going? Pacer's just run off. Intriguing. So Pacer's just run out of here. I'm not sure if we'll ever see him again. And the NCR just walked straight out. No violence at all. We actually managed to de-escalate that situation very nicely. And no sign of Pacer in any direction. I think he may in fact have despawned. Just kind of, you know, quietly deciding to retire from public life in the Kings. Intriguing. And of course that is a much, much better resolution there. Though things got a bit nasty for a second, we were able to talk it all down and everybody's happy. So I've decided I'm going to let that kind of stand as the actual kind of true resolution we're going for. Let's return to Crocker and tell him all about it. Alright, Crocker, so I got the Kings to stand down, and the King is willing to help with the relief effort, and indeed, I've also just kind of quietly persuaded Pacer to withdraw from public life, so pretty much wins all round there.
Good, good. Hsu's a man you can count on to handle a crisis. I'm just glad that things didn't end in violence. Here, this is what remains of the funds initially allocated for this operation. Also, I've been directed to send you on to Colonel Moore at Hoover Dam. She's been following my reports on your exploits with some interest. As I don't have any further assignments for you, I'd recommend going to see her if you need more work.
And up to level 24 we go, marvellous. So I'll say a little bit more sneak, a touch more survival, and a little bit more energy weapons as well. Beautiful. And level 24 is, aha, of course, it's a perk level. Now, what have we got this time? And I think I will be taking Robotics Expert on this occasion because, well, at some point very, very soon indeed, I'm thinking of doing some DLC for New Vegas. And, well, there's quite a few robots in some of that DLC. So let's go taking Robotics Expert. That extra 25% damage is very, very useful indeed. That 1,200 XP, that's a very, very big XP dump indeed. One of the biggest in the games, in fact. So, definitely want to actually successfully pass this quest and not fail it. 'Cause you can very easily fail it, but move straight on to For the Republic Part 2 anyway. But you don't really want to do that. No. Definitely want to be passing it for the XP dump, indeed. But I'm pretty happy with that result. The situation got a bit dicey. We were able to talk it down. And indeed, technically, I suppose this is the way to get the Kings the best deal possible. Because if you just kind of gone up to the King and used your favour, the Kings would be in the same position they were anyway. But because I've done it this way, I've now kind of pushed Crocker and Hsu into providing Freeside with more food, more water, more medicine, more power, all of that good stuff. So, technically, this is probably the best scenario indeed. And that, I'd say, ladies and gentlemen, is more than enough for now. As I say, like, I love that little quest. The King's Gambit is one of those quests in New Vegas I absolutely adore, because it's such a New Vegas-y quest where there's multiple different solutions, violent solutions, peaceful solutions, and if you just dig into it, if you just keep digging into it and speaking to the characters and exploring more and more, even more different solutions come out. Like, different types of violent solution and different types of peaceful solution, and then like a violent solution that you can kind of turn into a peaceful solution if you handle it correctly. It's beautiful. It's just the perfect little New Vegas quest, isn't it? And I think like a great many players will never have seen half of that stuff before, so that's exactly the sort of thing I want to show off in this run. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, as I was just mentioning, I'm thinking DLC soon. I'm not sure if it's next week. There's a few like little bits and pieces I'd like to show off first potentially, but I'd say like over the next week or two, there's a very good chance I want to dig into some DLC. And the DLC in question is, well, arguably my favourite bit of DLC in Fallout New Vegas, and one of my favourite bits of Fallout DLC of all time, and a DLC I've never really shown off in detail, because when I did it in You Only Live Once, I did kind of rush through it a little bit. And that is, of course, as you might reasonably expect, Old World Blues, coming up very soon indeed. Not sure if it's next week, but very soon afterwards if not. But there's a bunch of other little kind of fun bits and pieces I might want to look at before we get over there. But it's coming soon, ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot wait for that. So all of that coming up in the next couple of weeks at most, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been many a true nerd. This has been Fallout New Vegas Survival Mode with the JSawyer Mod. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Down, 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 get off it. Just hop off. Oh no! Oh, that was wrong! I would untie and save you, you understand, but there is a hovercraft. I really hope the bear's not still around. The bear is still around! The bear's still around! The bear's still around! Good news, guys! Elephants here! Hey!